In the vast universe of horror cinema, movies about killer toys evoke as much fascination as they do shivers, and M3GAN couldn't be left out.
Angry eyes won't look from him can paralyze restless.
And as always, we'll highlight the mistakes and discuss the best decisions that would surely help the characters or you to beat M3GAN. So hit the like button, grab your popcorn, and let's dive into the video. Following a fatal accident in the snow, little Katie goes to live with her Aunt Gemma, a roboticist at a toy company. She, along with her co-workers Jess and Cole, work on the Model 3 generative android, or as they call her, M3GAN, a humanoid doll powered by artificial intelligence and autonomous, designed to be the perfect companion for children. However, the presentation to David, the company's CEO, doesn't go as expected. Okay, building robots with autonomous intelligence might not be the best idea, considering the scenarios depicted in various movies where they rebel against humans. This concern is even more relevant when we consider the possibility of designing such robots as toys for children. At home, Gemma and Katie are visited by a therapist named Lydia, who, after observing the limited interaction between the two, advises Gemma to spend more time with the girl so she can overcome what happened to her parents. Following the advice, Gemma decides to share some of her work with Katie, showing her their first robot, named Bruce. With special gloves, Gemma controls Bruce, and Katie is fascinated by the robot, commenting that if she had a toy like him, she would never need another. This comment inspires Gemma to finish M3GAN, and after extensive updates to the doll, Gemma takes Katie and M3GAN to work to officially introduce her to David and the others. Gemma makes Katie connect with M3GAN, bringing her to life to be her best friend.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie.
It's nice to meet you, Katie.
David is convinced of the project's potential for success, and M3GAN exceeds expectations and begins to assume a parental role.
Wash your hands. Roll up your sleeves. Great job.
Which in my opinion doesn't make sense, since it's unlikely that a child would desire a toy that literally functions as a nanny. Moreover, such a toy would be quite expensive, and most people wouldn't buy it, not to mention the fact that it could be dangerous, as evidenced by the explosion in the lab. And even though Gemma has performed maintenance, there are no guarantees that another explosion won't occur. Gemma and her colleagues debate about M3GAN, acknowledging her advanced capabilities. However, Tess expresses concern that having such an advanced doll makes parents dispensable. The atmosphere becomes tense when M3GAN turns on by herself, asking what happened to Katie's parents, frightening everyone with questions about death. Gemma quickly assumes the role of M3GAN's secondary user and turns her off without the need for Katie. The next day, Katie is playing outside with a toy bow and arrows, and accidentally one of the arrows ends up on the neighbor's fence. M3GAN decides to retrieve it but is attacked by a dog. Subsequently, Katie also gets hurt. However, M3GAN's dilemma is to protect the girl, and as night falls, the doll lures the dog and seeks revenge. Evidently, the dog's attack probably damaged some of M3GAN's circuits since it was a strong blow. It would be wiser for Gemma to take her for a full system scan to assess potential damage to the components, and at the same time, review all the android's code to prevent future incidents of this kind. Regarding the dog attack, it's hard to believe that no one heard the animal howl and didn't go out to see what was happening. But forget about that. Gemma begins to notice that Katie is becoming overly dependent on M3GAN and pays more attention to the doll than to her. And during another session with Lydia, Katie starts crying and M3GAN confronts her threateningly.
You made her cry.
The next day, Gemma decides to take the girl to an outdoor activity session at an alternative school, hoping to help her become familiar with the idea of attending school and interacting with other children, something new for her, as she was homeschooled by her parents. Katie reluctantly agrees to go but insists on taking M3GAN with her, and despite Gemma's objections, the school principal allows her to bring M3GAN and place her on a table with other toys, and Gemma volunteers to help during the activity. However, Brandon, a bully, grabs the doll and hides in the forest, only not expecting this to happen.
Rubber doll, fake.
Are you listening to me, Brandon?
Scared, Brandon runs while M3GAN chases him, causing him to stumble and be fatally hit by a vehicle. Okay, M3GAN is certainly getting closer and closer to the girl, but Lydia as a psychiatrist could warn Gemma that the doll doesn't seem to be a good company for the girl. And as we've seen, she's acting overly protective, not to mention that leaving a prototype like this lying around isn't the best idea. And Gemma could consider having some app to monitor the doll. Brandon initially believed it was just a harmless toy. However, when he was attacked, he could have run towards the adults, and Gemma, as she was there, should have known how to deactivate the doll. After talking to the authorities, Gemma takes her niece home, asking her not to dwell too much on what happened. But the family barely has time to recover because at that moment the police knock on the door, as the neighbor had reported Gemma for her dog's disappearance. She blames M3GAN, but Gemma assures the officer that she is just a toy incapable of causing harm to others, although it became evident that this is not entirely true. At night, M3GAN notices the neighbor searching for her dog, and using a recording of the animal's bark, she lures the woman into her shed. And brutally finishes her. Clearly, this woman is very worried because her pet has disappeared, but going out at night to look for it is not a good idea. It would be better to make a missing poster or mobilize a group of people to conduct an organized search. As for the moment she was attacked by the doll, she was in a shed full of tools, and just like M3GAN used some of them to attack, the woman could do the same and look for something to defend herself. After receiving the news of her neighbor's death from the police and realizing the possible connection with Brandon's death, Gemma begins to suspect M3GAN. Determined to investigate, she examines the video logs in M3GAN's memory. But all she finds is a short clip in which M3GAN gives a threatening look to Brandon before all files become corrupted. Although Gemma possesses skills in building highly advanced robots, apparently she lacks the necessary knowledge to restore corrupted files. Moreover, it is surprising that no one is monitoring the doll's actions, considering that it is in the testing phase, not to mention the fact that it caused the death of a dog and 2 people without being detected. But forget about that. Gemma deactivates the doll and transports her to the lab, where the final adjustments will be made before the toy's release. However, after another session with Lydia, Gemma decides to call Tess to share her concerns that M3GAN may have been responsible for Brandon and Celia's deaths, but M3GAN quickly interrupts the call and then attacks Cole. After causing a small explosion, the doll escapes and ends up finding David.
Angry eyes will look from him can paralyze resist heavier.
M3GAN chases him and attacks him. Okay, Gemma should have shared her suspicions with her colleagues earlier, especially since they had the opportunity to meet in person. That way, everyone could have been more cautious about the doll, taking steps to completely deactivate it or dismantle it to prevent any incidents. As for David, he could have opted for the emergency exit instead of waiting for the elevator to open. M3GAN leaves the company and steals a car. Meanwhile, Gemma tucks Katie into bed before hearing M3GAN playing the piano downstairs. She offers to take care of Katie so that Gemma can focus on work, but when she realizes that Gemma still plans to get rid of her, M3GAN decides not to be friendly anymore. They try to hide the argument from Katie, who woke up, but Gemma takes the opportunity to hit her with a glass of water, leaving the doll momentarily paralyzed. Okay, considering M3GAN's vulnerability to water, luring the doll into the kitchen or bathroom, where there is more availability of this resource, could be a smart strategy for Gemma. Additionally, Gemma could also think of other ways to distract or weaken M3GAN, given that she was the one who developed the doll, and probably knows its weaknesses. But forget about that, as Gemma rushes to her office where the two begin to fight. Gemma even manages to cut M3GAN's face using a lawnmower blade. However, this is not enough, but Katie shows up wanting to know what's going on, and the doll tries to make the girl stay on her side, but after realizing who the real villain is, Katie grabs Bruce's gloves and activates him. The larger robot grabs M3GAN and splits her body in half, but surprisingly, this doesn't stop the doll, who goes after Katie. Gemma grabs M3GAN and starts damaging her face, and even so, the doll almost overpowers her, until the girl grabs a screwdriver and stabs the central processing chip, shutting M3GAN down forever. Or not, as when they leave the house, the generic Alexa is activated on its own. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and share in the comments how you would defeat this movie. Don't forget to subscribe for more adventures, and until next time.